Jazz is dead. That's what we're told time and again by the media, music publications, and the general public. To satisfy my own curiosity, I frequently ask people what they think of jazz. Many don't know what jazz is, but they're sure they still don't like it. As you can see, looking around this conference, jazz is anything but dead. Jazz appears most at home in academic institutions. The result? Often our audience is comprised of other musicians and students of the art. Is it possible we've gotten so wrapped up in the academic aspects of the music that we have forgotten the role of the music in the first place? Jazz exists to make us feel happy, feel sad, feel excited, feel heartbreak, feel elation, feel anything. But for some reason, somewhere along the way, it's almost as if we collectively decided that the music had a more important role than simply existing for enjoyment and betterment of the audience and the performer. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to identify what that higher purpose is. It's not uncommon for jazz musicians to be accused of holding a lingering attitude of entitlement, that they are owed an audience due to the countless hours of work required to master the craft. Listening to jazz and appreciating it requires an investment of time on the part of the listener. Instead of potentially alienating our listeners, what we really need to do is consider what we are doing to foster that required investment in our audience. Those jazz artists enjoying the most success and widest reach of their music today understand that jazz is meant to be enjoyed and allow the listener and musician to have an emotional experience in the moment. That doesn't mean selling out or pandering with their music. In fact, many with the most visibility and success have also won critical acclaim. In 2015, the Washington Post named it a breakout year for jazz, and highlighted artists like Kamasi Washington, Esperanza Spalding, Snarky Puppy, Gregory Porter, Robert Glasper, Brad Meldau, and many, many others. For those of you in education, ask your students what they're listening to. If they're listening to any jazz at all, I guarantee that these names are likely to be some of the ones that they're apt to include on their list. It's no secret that many jazz festivals no longer feature jazz. The headlining spots of these festivals have been filled by crossover, pop, or rock acts that can draw larger audiences. In a bit of a twist, this past summer I was able to catch my friends in Snarky Puppy at a concert in Dublin. They were on the main stage of a huge festival, playing for a festival crowd of thousands. The catch? It wasn't a jazz festival. They were a headlining act on a pop festival, and you better believe the audience absolutely loved them. This has been a year where our world seems set on otherization of people who are different and perhaps see the world in a different way than us. This fear widens the chasm that makes the building of bridges toward community difficult, if not impossible, and fosters hate. In fact, we seem to be in the midst of an epidemic of this problem. Can the jazz community be the exception? Can we stop spending so much of our energy trying to define what is jazz and what isn't? This issue is so important to us on the Gen board that we've articulated our position on the issue as follows. Gen is a diverse community where inquiry, exploration, and innovation are nurtured and encouraged to grow through education. We respect and accept all backgrounds that reflect love and passion for jazz, and we welcome interests and perspectives that reflect the diversity of the world. My friends, it's time to take jazz outside of the tiny, carefully guarded box we have placed it in for so many, many years. The beauty of jazz lies in improvisation. That is the connecting thread of the music. That improvisation takes many forms, ones that find their origin 100 years ago, as the very first jazz recordings were being made, as well as new forms birthed in the last few years, months, and even minutes. That same spirit of improvisation, the ability to create and adapt on the fly, is what we need to do now to not only preserve our music, but also launch it to the forefront of our global culture. And so I'm asking you today to join me in reimagining and reshaping the future of improvised music, the future of jazz. What does that future look like? I see a future where instead of simply taking its place as a dusty museum piece, jazz is once again culturally relevant. I see a future where audiences embrace the tradition, legacy, and sound of the greats, as well as groundbreaking jazz recordings of new music drawn from a myriad of styles. I see a future where instead of pop acts taking over jazz festivals, jazz acts make their way onto the main stages and headlining spots of pop and mainstream music festivals. I see a future where we don't have to shy away from the word jazz to describe our music because it might cost us the gig. I see a future where jazz continues to carve new ground, push boundaries, and evolve beyond anything we can even imagine today. The Jazz Education Network is poised to be the connector for all of this, and that network is each of us. We are the future of jazz. We are Jen. Thank you.